Hello and welcome to another episode of the Expo Factor, the podcast that explores what truly drives exhibition success. I'm Lee Ali, and today's episode is a true testament to the power of proactive engagement and long-lasting relationships. Back in 2009, one of our Expo stars engaged a visitor at an exhibition, and that visitor was none other than the industry legend that is John Blaskey. He called me shortly after the event, and that one conversation sparked a friendship and a collaboration that's led to countless projects, masterclasses, and insights over the years. In this episode, we're asking some really big questions. Number one, how do you take control of engaging mass audiences at trade shows? And number two, how do you design attendee journeys that feel intentional rather than chaotic? And number three, how can exhibitors use the power of privileged access to create meaningful conversations that drive real results? John and I further explore the strategy, the psychology, and structure behind great exhibiting, and why human connection and not technology remains the heartbeat of trade show success. So let's dive right in and say hello to John. John Blaskey, welcome to the Expo Factor. I'm really delighted to have you here today. So for the viewers who may not be familiar with yourself and your work, just tell us a bit more about how you got into the world of exhibitions and what you're doing nowadays.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Lee. We go back a long way, and I think nothing is random. Yeah. So here we are again. How on earth did I get into this? From being in my father's retail wallpaper and paint business in Sheffield. And he said, this is going to be yours one day, my boy. And then a few years later, he sold it. So I had to find something else. And I got involved with a very interesting photographer in Sheffield who was developing ways of mounting prints for exhibitions. Right. And we developed a display system. It was called Keypack. It was very lightweight, and it was very tough, and it was different. We patented it. That was in the days when the halls, the exhibition venues, were all controlled by the unions to a very negative way. Yeah. And the display systems that grew up in 1970s, 74 I started, were do-it-yourself, clip together, unfold. Yeah. And I found this very interesting, and I built a business around display systems. But manufacturing wasn't for me. And the interesting bit was when I used to deliver the display systems to clients, they would say, well, John, you obviously do a lot of exhibitions, which I did. Would you mind training our reps? Now, this is close to your heart, Lee. And I said, well, I can do that. I can have a look at that. And they would say to me, we want to know what to do on the stand. And I would say, well, why are you going to the show? And they would say, well, we have to go. Yeah. And I would say, why do you have to go? Yeah. Well, the organisers have told us that if we don't go, what will people think? Yeah. All your competitors are going to be there, so what will people think if you're not there? Yeah. And the whole selling of exhibition space in the 70s was smoke and mirrors. It was a spurious proposition. Yeah. It wasn't actually emphasising what you and I now know is the benefit of face-to-face engagement.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what kind of work are you doing nowadays?
Well, the extension of that, I built from then a consultancy, the Exhibiting Agency Limited, and we provided tools and processes in, I would say, the art, the science, and the psychology of face-to-face engagement in order to optimize people's performance and to measure it. Yeah. So fast forward now, unfortunately at COVID, the exhibition industry died, and I wasn't going to revive it, but a chap called Lee Ali.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. Found an old article and published it on LinkedIn, an article that I'd written in the 90s, and I think the article was called Exhibiting Why Bother.
Yes, absolutely.
And you tell me, Lee, why you put it on LinkedIn.
Because the key thing was, it was lying on my shelf and I was doing a clear out, like you do in the summer, and I found it and I read it through again. It resonated with the messaging that we have out there right now. And I think my LinkedIn was actually titled, Has Anything Changed? since the 70s and 80s to today. And we're talking about 20, 30 years later now, right? 91, so that would have been
34 years.
34 years. And we're still having the same conversations with exhibitors. So I thought it was appropriate. And obviously, it resurrected the dinosaur, right?
Thank you very much. Yes, the dinosaur. But it did actually provoke something. And I thought, well, even though I'm sort of doing other things, it's interesting because that article that you published in LinkedIn got quite a lot of reaction all over the world. And people started saying, well, what have you done? And I've done another podcast for somebody else. And I thought, maybe there's still some mileage in this. And the interesting thing is that today more than ever, especially following COVID, people are zoomed out, they're sick of texts, and they don't trust AI. So human interaction is back big time at the highest value, and so are exhibitions.
Well, it's the only thing that you can trust nowadays, because if you go on social media, all the videos are faked, and people are hiding behind the keyboard with their opinions, whereas if you meet people face-to-face, you can get the real truth. And I think this is where face-to-face still has a lot to offer, despite all the advances in AI and technology.
More than ever. And we're on the same page. We're in violent agreement, Lee, as we always were. There are nuances about how to maximize human interaction, who are the right people to do it. And one of the things that I discovered quite early on, before you were even born probably, was that, on stands, when I was speaking to clients for my display systems, they would say, we always put the reps on the stand. And I realized that one size doesn't fit all.
Of course.
There are 4 or 5 different functions, different roles, different colour jobs that have to be done on a stand, and you need the right people in the right colours, in the right jobs. And that was missed before. The person who's out in the aisle qualifying and approaching and so on is a very different skill set, has a very different skill set to the person inputting data on the laptop or the technology. Very different from the person who's telling the story about the product or the service. Very different from the host or hostess. And they all require different skill sets and different talents. And you're going to say, if I don't say it first, that up to 80-odd% of the success of your face-to-face engagement is down to your people.
Down to your people. Here we are in nearly 26, we're at the end of 2025. Why is it that nothing's actually changed in that approach to exhibiting success? Because the same things that you were doing in the 70s and 80s, the same principles that are being applied today to achieve exhibition success.
Well, first of all, technology. I think the galloping pace at which technology has played its part in exhibitions, but it doesn't take over from human interaction. I remember when we used to have slide projectors to do presentations. And then I actually remember the epidiascope from before that. Then you had computer imagery. And then you had these huge pixel boxes. And technology, the toys of the trade, took over from actually the human bit. Now, there will always be toys. Technology will always be there. But it's there to assist the human being, not to replace them. I mean, there's a bit of a discussion there about AI, but you can't get energy from AI. You can't get a human pat on the shoulder or a shake of the hand or a glimpse of the eye to the soul. Do you really trust this person you're speaking to? Have they really got something interesting? Or has it all been transferred to digits? And I think, to answer your question, I think the technology people have steamrolled over the people.
We're in alignment with that. As you were going through the list of what you actually get with human beings, I think the biggest thing in the sales environment and the relationship building environment is intuition.
Absolutely.
Which AI can't give you, which technology can't give you, because it's very much, the data that you collect is very much black and white, isn't it? So it doesn't actually tell you the emotional, or it doesn't back you up in terms of your intuition. So these are the things that technology will never ever bring to that conversation.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I mean, you can send text till you're blue in the face, but there's no emotion in a text.
Absolutely,
And also there is we're global now. and there is the translation challenge. Are you actually receiving the right nuances when you're using technology to translate your message, more so than you would if you had an actual interpreter?
Absolutely.
And an interpreter who knows people.
And there's, again, looking at the AI translators, they're very, very good, in fact. But again, if you had a local translator, they would actually tell you the local cultural nuances and the emotional intelligence that comes along with that. The reason why we're here for the podcast today is we want to talk about something really pivotal in how exhibitors achieve success, and that is strategic control of the engagement process. And when we actually met, and you actually met one of our talent working at an exhibition, as it happens.
Yes,
and I remember
you hooked me, you got me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, again, the process works. And there was a follow-up call from yourself saying, I love what you did, and I think we resonate with each other, and let's, try and collaborate, which is what we've been doing over the number of years that we've known each other. And one of the things I loved about your philosophy on exhibiting is the sense of control. So we talked about something called privileged access engagement. Do you want to touch a bit more on that? How did you come across the control aspect?
You're asking me, how did I come across, or how did I twig that we should be controlling in the first place? And I have to thank Disneyland for that, because I remember going to Disneyland and to Las Vegas and looking at how people were being processed. And I like to think of exhibitions as a glorified Disneyland. I like to think that each stand should have a theme, it should have impact, it should be fun, it should have an outcome. And where did I get this from? Well, when you go to Disneyland and you want to go on a ride, you queue up.
Yeah.
And first of all, you've self-qualified.
Yeah.
You want to go on that particular ride. And while you're queuing, and it tells you how long you're going to be queuing for, there are messages and there are engagements. Yeah. And whether you're going on a Harry Potter ride or whatever it is you're going on, you're in the process.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're all getting the same experience.
Yeah.
This is an aspect of control. Yeah. Then you go on the ride, and the ride is thrilling, and you're hearing the story, and you're living it, and you're immersed in it. Yeah. So a bit of theatre. Yeah. And then when you come out of it, you're mysteriously thrown into the gift shop, where you actually have to buy something. Now, in our world, it's, I'm going to buy the next appointment.
Yeah.
Have you been given a compelling reason to engage with this exhibitor again?
Absolutely, yeah.
I started applying it to the work I was doing with exhibitors and getting them to think in terms of visitor journey. Yeah. And are they the right people? Yeah. And how do we stop the wrong people coming on the booth? Yeah. And we started with post and rope, having one entrance, one exit, and a little bit of control there. And then we went wholly black box. Yeah. And I remember it was pretty gutsy in those days, where we used to create black boxes, or boxes where people could look in, but they couldn't see in. Yeah. And the curiosity factor flipped the whole psychology of come one, come all. Yeah. We don't need come one, come all. We don't have the time. Yeah. And the other thing that came from that was exhibitors would think in terms of, I'm going to put 4 reps on the stand. Yeah. Now, they can give a 10-minute presentation, and they can do it to one person, and they can do that 5 times an hour, and they can do that from 10 till 5. And so you had the wrong mathematic. It's not about spending 10 or 20 minutes with one person. Yeah. It's about spending 1 or 2 minutes with 20 people and get them to understand what you do and want the next stage in the continuum of sales. What you have to start with is exhibiting is marketing. Trade shows, B2B exhibiting is marketing. It isn't sales. I've been a speaker all over the world, and the first question I ask my audience is, right, hands up, who's happy with their results from their last exhibition? Get a few hands. And who knows what results they got from the last exhibition? No hands. The other question that I ask is, okay, it shows principally selling or principally marketing exercises. Yeah. And so who thinks it's principally selling? Up go all the hands. Yeah. Who thinks it's principally marketing? Some of the hands go up. And then someone from the back of the room will always say, it's both.
Yeah.
And I will say, okay, so when did you last actually take an order
Yeah.
at a trade show?
Yeah.
Nobody does. The prospects don't have
Yeah.
the authority. They don't have the decision making. It's marketing. Trade shows are marketing. Now, once you've got that firmly fixed,
Yeah.
you have to ask yourselves, why do you need the reps on the stand at all?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. This is the great myth, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we see a lot of press at big events, especially the air shows, for example. They do a lot of announcements about deals happening and so on. But people forget that those deals have actually been in the pipeline for 2 to 3 years. I mean, if you think about the sales cycle of big manufacturers, and there usually are, minimum. And we worked together on one client, which I think famously was Terumo.
Of course, Terumo, yeah.
Yeah, their sales cycle was about 3 years long. And those deals being announced at the trade show, I think it was just a natural thing to happen, to use that opportunity to say, we're here and we've signed on the dotted line and we're going to announce it. But that deal was not made as a result of somebody walking onto the booth saying, hi, how are you doing? I want to know more about your engines. And 40 minutes later, they signed on the dotted line saying, here's the order for 5 million, 10 million, 100 million, whatever. That never happens, right?
No.
Yeah.
What are the 5 things that a visitor needs to know? They need to know who you are, what you do, who you do it for, what you can do for them, and, okay, what's next? And that's it. And that's the process. And going back to your idea of control, if you can get those 5 points over and you can then get somebody to say, okay, yes, I want to come to your next whatever it is, job done.
Yeah.
And if you can get 4 or 5 people to do it at once, like we've done some themes on stands, we've done Dragon's Den, where you have one presenter to 4 people sitting with the money. Yeah. They fill out the, yes, we want to see you again, off, next one.
Yeah.
So actually, if you think about it, trade shows should be Dragon's Dens.
Yeah. There should be experiences along with, like you say, a curiosity factor. And one of the biggest things for me, again on control, is that a lot of exhibitors nowadays don't have the control because you use the example of giving away leaflets and giving away swag, and what happens thereafter when you actually follow up that lead, because you invariably get, we've got your literature, we'll be in touch when we're ready. How does your control process overcome that follow-up process? I know I'm telling you to give away your secrets here, but...
It's all right. Nobody listens anyway. But enough people listen. Yeah, you give away a brochure, you're giving away all the information that would be exchanged if it was face-to-face at a later phone call. Yeah. But I think the thing that I've learned is asking where the exhibition ends.
Yeah.
And in my view, the exhibition ends months after the doors have closed at the venue. Yeah. But what we always encourage our clients to do is to create events post-event. Yeah. So what could a visitor on your booth sign up for to come to a month after the show? Yeah. Could it be a visit to your showroom? Could it be a range review? Yeah. Could it be a masterclass, a training? So you actually give people on the booth a real series of options, 3 usually. Yeah. And there's another option, which is, don't call me. Yeah. And that in itself is a big plus. Yeah. Because if they're really not interested, they can tick that box and you won't waste your sales process time. So the creative bit is, what are we going to do to build the bridge from the booth to the business? What are we going to create post-show? Yeah. So, you've seen me do it when I put my slides up. Very early on in the slideshow, I say the end. Yeah. What is the end? Yeah. The end is, how many people have ticked a box and said, yes, I would like to come to your training session. Yeah. Yes, I would like to come to your showroom. Yeah. Yes, whatever. Yeah.
This is the ultimate permission-based marketing.
Permission-based marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're giving you permission to actually contact them. And
more than that, they're asking you to contact them. So that when the rep or whoever, the sales exec, the account exec, the business development person, when she rings up and she says, I've got some information. You came to our stand at IMEX or whatever the show is, and you asked me to call you to follow up. You wanted to come to our next training session. Can we just sign that up?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the pressure is off.
Yeah.
You have given somebody a real reason to have value from you.
Yeah.
No one who takes a sales call is going to get value. But if you actually given people a reason to come to something, they're going to get value.
Yeah.
Giving, you're not taking.
Oh, absolutely. Now, a lot of exhibitors will say that that's all great and well if you have the budget to do these kind of things. But you can actually run this control process even on a 3x3 or a 10x10 in the US, right?
Absolutely.
How would that work with if you only actually had 2 or 3 people on your booth?
I've run stands for new companies where we've only had the proprietors on the booth.
Yeah.
One comes to mind. They were making these heated tile couches for massage, for health spas. And it was a husband and wife team. And all we did was we created a dark booth.
Yeah.
We put some star cloth around the back.
Yeah.
So everybody else's stand was light and white. Ours was black with coloured lights. A panel right at the front with a proposition. And it was a question, not a statement. And people were curious. They came in. We asked them to lie on the couch. We gave them a feedback form to fill in.
Yeah.
They filled out the feedback form and off they went. And it was on a shoestring. And incidentally, that couple won the Best Stand of the Show award, Best Newcomers, I think it was. So it doesn't have to cost a lot. Now, the organisers. We haven't mentioned the organisers yet.
I wasn't going to plan talking about them now that you mention it.
We've worked a lot, you and I, for organisers who are dedicated to saying to their exhibitors, we want you to do it better. Why? Because they want them to come back.
Of course, yeah.
And so that should carry on. We should be doing more and more work with the organisers to show them that they actually don't need to lavish amounts on huge, big stands. I always used to call the huge stands mausoleums. A mausoleum is a beautiful building with dead people in it.
Yes.
And we don't want that at all.
Isn't that amazing? Because sometimes exhibitions, you go to stands like that and they're completely dead. Okay, but they've actually spent tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, on the booth. But there's no clear journey on the booth. People on the booth are completely disinterested. They don't know why they're even there, and there's no clear what happens after the event. Why do you think it is that more people haven't taken the IKEA model or the Disney World model where they actually create that journey? Is it lack of education? Is it the fear of getting it wrong? Or is it something that's just too complicated?
I think they see everybody else doing it a certain way, and they think that must be right. And I have to say this, I was a disruptor in the industry. I actually stood up at an AEO event many years ago, and when they called for questions, I stood up and asked all these organisers who were running it, how many of their reps, their salespeople, the people who sold the proposition of the exhibition, knew what made an exhibitor successful or a successful exhibitor. And there was a stinky silence in the conference, and I think there was a chap said, well, that's a very damning question, John. And so if the organizer is not saying, by the way, you need a consistent visitor journey, you need to do this, you need to do that, all the things that you and I have discovered, they're not actually acting in good faith for their exhibitor, their customer.
Absolutely.
And the attrition rates are appalling. I mean, still today, organisers are losing up to 40-50% of their exhibitors because the exhibitors haven't been shown how to do it.
Absolutely. So in terms of the whole strategy, where would you encourage exhibitors to actually start? So if they've been exhibiting 2 or 3 years and they haven't really got the success and they're kind of thinking giving up exhibitions because they haven't really got anything out of them, where do you encourage them to start again, if you like, and to see exhibitions as such a brilliant tool to generate business?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? You're talking about MLTDs, most likely to defect.
Yeah.
And in the categories of exhibitors, there are five or six, but those are the most worrying to the organizer.
Yeah.
You have to start with strategy.
Yeah.
There is no shortcut. Invest some money having a strategy review, which, by the way, we do, and be prepared to answer.
Yeah.
I think in our strategy review, we now ask up to 65 questions.
Wow.
And from that, you get a report.
Yeah.
And the report will tell you what to do, not necessarily how to do it, by the way, because we're going to make something. But be prepared to not only answer the questions, but answer them as a team. Because what happens in a company is the finance director will want to know where the results are coming from.
Yeah.
The marketing director will want to know how this can align with the other marketing in the organization. The owner of the business will want to know, so what's in it for me? Where are we going with this? And what you need is a team strategy review by people who know what they're talking about. And a lot of people will say to me, what do you know about servicing helicopter engines? Or what do you know about patient comfort from syringes? Or what do you know about... I don't. But I know a lot about people. And I know what makes them interested, and I know what makes them curious, and I know what makes them sign up for the next stage. And so you have to be prepared as a potential exhibitor to say, okay, we do an exhibition maybe once, twice, 3 times a year. These guys, Lee and John, are doing them 365, 24/7.
Absolutely. So you've done the strategy, and you touched on a point there, is the internal stakeholders.
Yes.
And I do feel, in my experience anyway, that when we do work with customers, everyone has different expectations.
Yes.
All want to have say. And just going back to that control thing, it actually applies to exhibitors as well internally, because you need to have that internal process, you need to have that internal buy-in from all your internal stakeholders that this is the strategy that we're actually going with. And many times we've gone into an organization where the sales want a different kind of experience, the marketing want a different type of experience. And I had this recently where one of the event managers said she has no control of who comes onto the booth because the sales team controlled that. And she doesn't see why she should have to run with making their booth staff more efficient, because that's not my forte, that is sales. So how do you encourage these event managers to actually take control of that strategy and actually push back against the sales team, against the marketing team, and maybe the C-level execs, and bring them all together and bang their heads together and say, look, this is what works, this is how we're going to do it, and all of you need to be on board with it.
Yeah, and it's the A word, it's accountability.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody who is accountable. You cannot create an exhibition, a trade show presence, where your whole image, your brand, your values, your vision is going on show right next to your competition. You have to have leadership. And somebody has to be made accountable and controllable. Now, we can be that. And we offer a guarantee, as it happens, that if you don't get the results that we agree that you want, and you've done it our way...
as long as you follow the process.
As long as you follow our process to the letter, then we'll give you your money back. But that's our marketing. The point is you have to have somebody who is in control, who is accountable within the business. It's such a crucial point. And I can remember years and years ago when people would say to me, well, we're going to this exhibition. We'll give it to the junior. She can organise it. Because they're thinking, well, we'll just put a few products on the booth, a few leaflets, and that's it. Those days are gone. You're fighting for airtime, brain airtime, with prospects who are distracted by their phones and by their... by all the pressures of business life today. So my answer to your question is one of the questions we ask our clients is who is going to be accountable for this? And somebody has to be given the authority, accountability to action the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a campaign. It's a huge project.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But just like, in your business, you wouldn't hire a lawyer to do your accounts, and you wouldn't hire somebody from the workshop to be on your reception, right?
No.
So in this case, you need a leader who can actually run. It's like running a business, really, going to an exhibition. Because you've got costs.
It's a campaign.
Okay. It's a campaign. You've got the costs, and you've got a ledger, and you need to be held accountable for what comes at the end. Okay. So.
It's very interesting because it also goes to return on objectives and return on investment.
Yeah.
So, for example, I say to people, what's your budget?
Yeah.
And the first thing a client will say is, well, we're spending 10,000 on the stand. We've got 5 meters by 4 or whatever it is. Okay. And how much are you spending on the decor? Yeah. Oh, well, we've got a budget of so much for that. And I say, and what else?
Yeah.
They, what do you mean, what else?
Yeah.
Well, how many reps are you going to have to accommodate and transport? And what is the opportunity cost of having those people off the road?
Yeah.
Invisible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what is the cost of planning everything in terms of the meeting time?
Yeah.
And we get to a much more realistic, real budget.
Yeah.
Now, we can say, okay, well, the first thing you do is you spend on strategy. You get the strategy right, and you'll see the other costs come down.
Absolutely. If you have a budget for your trade show presence, how should you actually allocate compared with, let's say, what you spend on the booth, to what you spend on your people, to what you spend on your training, to what you spend on the marketing collateral? So is there a kind of a formula, if you like, to optimally spend that money?
There probably is a formula, and I haven't yet got to that. But what I would say is, you can have a very effective presence if you do the thinking, if you get something really fun, because so many stands are boring.
Yeah.
If you have, instead of tat to give away, a really nice thank you for people who've come on the stand.
Yeah.
If you think it through and you offer a quality engagement, a quality interaction, and you can do that by, on a very small space with not very much decor, but you can have something really exciting. I mean, we've had Ali G on our client stand. Yes. We've had magicians. We've had freeze frame actors. That was in the old days. There are other things.
You
today.
famously gave us Borat on our booth at International Convex back in 2010.
There you go. And it was interesting, but it wasn't fighting with the message. It was enhancing the message of the exhibitor, which is we're different, or whatever. Yeah. And so the answer to your question is start with strategy. Yeah. You may surprise yourself. We say to our clients, whatever you spend with us in terms of consultancy, we will save you from your overall spend. As long as you're honest about your overall spend, as long as you take into account opportunity cost, staff, all the other things. If you really are honest with yourself and you pull all the budgets together, you'll be surprised what you're really spending. Now, we can reduce that quite dramatically.
Oh, absolutely.
With a plan.
Oh, absolutely. And it's amazing how much wastage I actually see when you go to the Middle East, for example, Asia, the US. Just come back from IMEX in the US. And it's interesting when you really dig deep and in terms of what kind of items are required and what isn't required, how much wastage there actually is. And exhibitors and organisers talk about sustainability and everything else. But if you really think about it, all you need are the right people on the booth, the right message, and a process. And
let me pick you up there, because once you've got a plan, once you've got your strategy and you know what you need to do, you can work out the numbers. You can work out how many people you need to approach, how many people you need to bring in and present to, how many people you want to sign off on the next stage, and you can keep the engine running. And I like to think of a trade show booth as an engine for return on investment and return on objectives. And we have a process. We have a process that you just go through, stage after stage after stage, and you get the results. And I don't know why a lot of it is glimpse of the blindingly obvious.
Yeah.
But I just want to read something to you, Lee, which was from a healthcare company called Mölnlycke, and it was in 2004.
Right.
And they wrote after we have helped them with their booth. I've no hesitation in writing to thank you for the part the exhibiting agency played in transforming our exhibition activity. Your approach challenged us to go through a total revolution in the way we were to exhibit at the NATN Congress in Harrogate this year. And I'm delighted to say the results speak for themselves. Over 600 qualified new contacts who came through the stand. And nearly 50 of these prospects entered into an in-depth discussion and appear to want to meet us to discuss future business. Now, that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for sort of 30-odd years.
Yeah.
But it's about thinking it through.
Yeah.
It's about not being like rabbits in a headlight thinking, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
There is a way of doing it. It works every time.
Yeah.
Trust us.
And it's predictable.
It's
and
predictable.
You can actually predict what outcomes you're actually going to have.
Absolutely.
If you follow this process. And the beauty of it that I liked, again, when I first learned about it, was that in terms of, we talk about measurement, is you can actually measure each element in terms of the conversion rates. And then, for example, I always use the example of, now if you look at the engagement process, and you have how many approaches you actually need to make, how many hellos you need to say, okay, that is the end bit, okay, to predict your success. But if you've actually approached 100 people and you've only got a response rate of 2 or 3 people coming into your booth to have the demo or the experience, then that means that there's something wrong with your approach.
With the questioning. You may be asking the wrong questions.
Yeah, maybe the wrong question.
But you can fine-tune that.
Yeah,
and
maybe the body
right.
language, it may be the training of the person or the personality of the person that you've used on the booth.
Yeah.
So this is all the hidden kind of factors that you have in exhibition success, because you wouldn't realize how much of an impact your team's body language has on the booth in terms of not only attracting people into the booth, but putting people off coming onto the booth.
Absolutely, and telling them how to disappear quite politely.
Yes.
But you have to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And you and I have created agencies that have tackled this head on and worked out the numbers so that we can predict the outcomes. And the best stories we can tell are the ones that, like the one I read just now, where it has worked.
Yeah.
It hasn't been what people have done in the past. But if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always had. And the challenge for me is when you actually boil it down to what is the best thing you can do at a trade show. And in my view, it is to give the visitor a compelling reason to engage with you again. And you can't do that through technology. You've got to do that through people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And on that note, John, I'm sure we could talk for months and months on end about everything exhibitions, but that is a brilliant way to end the podcast. So thank you again very much for your time. If you were talking to an exhibitor today and you could give them 3 tips on how to set up for success, what would they be?
First of all, be very precise about who you want to speak to. Who is your audience? It may not be at the show you've booked. Secondly, be very precise about the message that you want to put over. And thirdly, don't be afraid to do your research. What do you want to know? And if you've got a plan, it'll work. Thank you very much, John. Where can our viewers and listeners find you? www.exhibitingagency.co.uk, and very happy to have a conversation with anybody and then hopefully lead to a strategy review. Okay, fantastic. John, it was a pleasure to have you on the Expo Factor. I wish you all the success and good health, no doubt, and we'll be talking again soon. Thank you, Lee. I've enjoyed it. And that was a masterclass in exhibition strategy from one of the industry's true pioneers. A huge thank you to my friend John Blaskey for sharing his wisdom, his stories, and timeless lessons on how to turn exhibition chaos into meaningful control.
Now, if there's one thing to take away from this podcast, it's this. Success at trade shows isn't about luck. It's about leadership, it's about process, and it's about purpose. The exhibitors that win are the ones that plan the journey, manage the engagement, and follow through after the show. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please do follow the Expo Factor podcast on Spotify. And finally, remember, exhibitions are not about who walks past your booth having been scanned, but who walks away remembering you and wanting to continue the conversation. We'll see you next time.